It's been another comfortable afternoon so far today at FSU. Good evening. I'm student meteorologist Alex Cordero.
And I'm student meteorologist Pete Delagrado. Welcome to Friday's fantastic edition of the program. We've got lots in store for you.
Yes, lots in store indeed, especially with this major cold front that we have draped across the middle of the U.S. We're all going to cover that just a bit on our show today, but that's going to bring a lot of possibly nasty weather to our neck of the woods.
Yeah, looking especially in this weekend, possibly late on Saturday, but the bulk of the moisture should arrive on Sunday. That's a little bit of a teaser into the program because there's lots more in store, especially when it comes to fall.
Yes, and speaking of fall, when does it begin? It begins real soon, doesn't it?
Yes, September 22nd, that is this Sunday, officially at 4:44 p.m. Eastern Time. I know. Probably just the day is good enough for you at home, but officially that's when fall begins.
Yes, and with fall welcomes the colder temperatures, the drier conditions, a lot more comfortable for the state of Florida in general, which is always muggy throughout the season of summer, should I say.
Yes, exactly. And me, personally, I can't wait for those fall temperatures. We've been stifling, scorching, whatever you want to call it. It's been a hot, muggy Florida summer here.
Yes, hot, muggy indeed, and it looks like it's going to continue for just a little bit longer until that rainfall shows up. Then a little bit drier, possibly, maybe a little bit cooler too, but we're going to take that to the overview so they can take a look at it.
The calendar might say fall is coming, but the weather right now, since fall is here for part of the country, unfortunately that's out west right now. For the eastern part of the country, high pressure is in control, and here's that cold front draped from right around the Detroit area down into Texas, and it's bringing a lot of rainfall, and actually flash flooding is a concern across the state of Texas and Louisiana, and this is all going to slowly sludge on towards the east. Weather headlines over the next few days, again, soaking weather for this weekend in time for the game and into Sunday and Monday. Autumn is here for the western part of the country, and they'll be sliding on towards the east here pretty soon. And an update in the tropics, unfortunately there isn't much anywhere across the tropics. Atlantic-wide, we'll be talking a lot more about tropics in the other parts of the world, especially in the Pacific right now, where there's actually a Category 4 going on right now. Temperatures around the region right now is still on the warm side, 88 degrees in Tallahassee, 90 in Quincy, 85 in Wilma, and heat indices rather have been right around 90 degrees over the last couple of hours. The game is going to be quite nice, especially the tailgates. I don't think the rain will be here for the tailgates. Rain will be sliding in for the game time at 6 o'clock against Bethune-Cookman. Temperatures, we'll have to get back to the rest of the show for that kind of temperatures, and also those rain chances, when those will slide in. And do you know when those will slide in at the desk?
Well, we're going to hang on to that thought because that is quite the teaser, especially for our viewers looking for that kickoff forecast. We're going to knock it down, though, in one of our local segments later in the program.
Yes, do you think it might be cooler, though, seeing as it's a little later kickoff, or?
I hope so. I'm rooting for 80s. I'm going to tell you what, I am a fan of the 80s because I have had enough 90s for this summer.
Yes, especially with the fact that when you're in the stadium, it could feel like it's hotter. So any 80s are welcome, but that rain chance, like we keep mentioning before, looks like it's looming in the distance, and hopefully it doesn't impact that game.
Definitely. We're talking about rain perhaps in the 2-inch range or so by the end of this in the weekend. So I know we've had a wet summer already, folks in Tallahassee know that, but 2 more inches may bring those rivers and streams up a little bit, depending on how those locally heavy rains persist.
Yes, whether you believe the rain is welcome or not, it has been a while since we've actually received a major change in our forecast due to the constant heat that we've been receiving. But for a more in-depth look at that, we're going to take it on to our first local forecast with Nikki.
All right, well, we're here back at the desk. I think we're having a little bit of an issue with the microphones. However, we're going to get you right around that local in just a moment. But what you did see on that picture with Nikki was the rain is now coming. With that cold front approaching the area, you already see it in the Louisiana area, western Mississippi, and it's something else.
Yes, and it's already impacting Texas. I heard it was also causing a little bit of airport delays throughout Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth area, especially nearing Houston, since that cold front is slowly taking its time to get over to that part of the region, I should say.
And what I did see on some of the models was the moisture fan from Manuel, who actually made landfall as another hurricane on the Mexican coast, is funneling into that system. So a little bit of tropical moisture augmenting that cold front means some much needed rain for Texas.
Yes, much needed rain indeed, but a lot of rain for other parts that probably don't need to be seeing that, including all the way into the north part of the Midwest Valley, possibly indicting some severe weather near Michigan and some Wisconsin. So likely we might be in for a little situation. Hopefully nothing severe does drift out of it, but we can't rule out that fact, because especially with cold fronts such as this, ones that are so, I should say, massive or powerful, for instance, they do impact quite a punch. So
right, and this is kind of more of a wet cold front than a potent cold front, but let's send it out to the wall with another look.
Right now, we're not going to be talking about the cold front, but I'll get to that in a second. Currently, around our southeast area, around Florida, it is still relatively warm with 83 in Orlando. A little bit higher here, back home in Tallahassee with 88. And up in Montgomery, the hot spot right now, 90 degrees. Dew points are still relatively low for now. They will increase when the cold front does decide that it will come through. It's 67 for our dew point in Orlando, a little bit more muggy there, but we're a little bit lower at 64 in Tallahassee. Not much going on in the radar for now across the tri-state area. See a couple showers coming off of the Gulf, but the big thing we're going to talk about is the front coming through our area. This front is currently affecting Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, just giving them downpours of rain, and that will just contribute to the chance of flash flooding in that area, as well as flash flooding when it comes into our area. For a futurecast, you can see right now, sunshine, beautiful weather, absolutely gorgeous weather. I suggest you take advantage of that last couple hours before the rain does come into our area. And the front, watch it, just slowly creeps in and the rain arrives just before game time. Sorry guys, but that is what we're going to have to deal with. The rain chances might wash out the game, hopefully not. If any tailgates beforehand, you will be fine. But the game itself, it's a little so-so on when the rain is going to come in. But after that rain, that front does continue to move in. It's going to suck the moisture from the previous depression that was hovering near Mexico, just suck the moisture in and bring in that increased flood chance for our neck of the woods. Futurecast rainfall, right now over Arkansas, they have a chance of about 4 inches of rain for them. But as we put this into motion and you see the rain just slowly just moves into our area, we have a chance of 1 to 2 inches of rain just on Sunday. Just on Sunday, guys. So if you are driving outside in those lower lying areas, please make sure you turn around. Do not drive into any standing water. That is absolutely dangerous. Turn around, don't drown. We really want you guys safe for us. Beach forecast, however, for tomorrow, not the best beach day. If you do decide to go out earlier in the day, UV index is very high, so bring that sunscreen. Surface at a light chop so you can get in the water, but later on in the day, not recommended. For boating, however, same thing. Storms building in late, so it's a risky situation. Do not put yourself in any danger. Go out earlier in the day, go fishing if you really want to, but those winds south 10 knots and waves 2 to 3 feet, not the best time to go boating in the afternoon, guys. But for tonight, 70 degrees is our low. 71 in Orlando, a little bit warmer. Miami, still Miami weather, 75 degrees. And for tomorrow, chance of rain, 88 degrees here in Tallahassee, 90 in Orlando, and 90 down in Miami. So it's going to be a little bit warm for the rest of the Florida region. But back to the desk.
Speaking of that warmth, like Tawana said, a little longer for us, and then we're going to hopefully see some of those cooler temperatures. It looks like the rain, like before, is being enhanced by Manuel and possibly 95L, that disturbance that we've been monitoring in the tropics for quite a few days now.
Yes, if you've been watching our show at least this week, we've been teasing tropical trouble in that Bay of Campeche because it's been a hot spot of development over this. We've had Hurricane Ingrid most recently, and also Tropical Storm Fernand, Tropical Depression 8. If you can remember all the way back to the beginning of the season, Tropical Storm Barry.
Yes, this is an area that likes to see a lot of tropical storm development throughout history, but this year it's been a very hot spot indeed. Speaking of hot spots, there's one in the West Pacific, isn't there?
West Pacific, switching gears a bit, there's actually Super Typhoon Usagi?
Yes, Usagi.
Yes, Usagi. And that is packing winds of 150 miles per hour, a strong Category 4 hurricane, as what we would call it in our basin, but actually a typhoon, super typhoon, going to impact southern Taiwan and also Hong Kong.
Yes, this storm is very big. I'd say around 500 miles wide. That can swallow Florida entirely, right?
But let's take it around our own nation as we take a look at our watches and warnings around our state. Nothing so much in terms of Florida, but if you actually take a look into Texas, they're dealing with that tropical moisture streaming in, and they have some flash flood warnings and advisories as well for that state. And if you look all the way to the west here, you're also looking at red flag warnings and advisories. Right here, the Pacific Northwest, all over the state of Nevada. That means low relative humidities as that dry air begins to entrain, and that's causing problems, of course, for any wildfires that would progress. Currently around our nation, you see a little bit of fall just beginning to slink its way further south. 63 right this hour in Minneapolis, closer to home, of course. We're in the 80s and near 90, 85 in Atlanta, 79 in Washington, D.C. But you definitely see in the center section of the country here, well, that's where the moisture is, and that's keeping temperatures down as that front moves its way through. And let's take a look at the water vapor. You can definitely see the contrast between moisture here in blue and stepping over here, dry air in the red. That front marks the line right between it, so you see that front from Kansas City stretching back into the panhandle of Texas, all the moisture which is headed our way into the southeast come Saturday into Sunday. You see this mess of moisture stretching from Dallas up to Memphis. Mississippi River is just being inundated, of course, with these rainfalls, and that's going to move its way to the east come into Saturday and Sunday. But where it's not raining right now is the northeast, Adirondack Mountains into Vermont, all clear. Did have a little bit of severe weather come through Detroit earlier today, but that has since canceled and moved its way through. Moving a little bit farther west, Seattle, rainy free right now, but you see knocking on the doorstep another Pacific coastal storm going into the Cascade regions of the Pacific Northwest. So enjoy that rain-free condition right now, Seattle. A few more hours, that's not going to be true. Rain-free, of course, in the southwest. This is what you see. No radar returns. Nothing to speak of as that moisture has shifted east. So let's take a look at that mess of moisture right around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Massive amounts of moisture moving its way from west to east along that frontal boundary, which as a whole is moving very slowly, so it's allowing that moisture to build up and having some flash flooding concerns across Dallas. Now, back home for us here in the southeast, not so much in terms of moisture for Tallahassee, although you do see some panhandle thunderstorms from Bay County a little bit westward, and you'll see that begin to slink its way towards the east over the next day or so. Airport delays around the nation. Should you be making traveling plans around our great country? East Coast is staying relatively quiet. However, San Francisco is marking a 146-minute delay, so if you do have a flight routed through the airport, be sure to reconfirm any travel plans that you have. Now, overnight, tonight, for our tonight forecast, you see those 45-degree temperatures begin to slink its way south, and then we'll clear out again for tomorrow. We'll see that heat return with some rainy conditions around Memphis, but we're all looking at 88 degrees, partly cloudy skies. Let's move ahead in the forecast and send it to Casey, locally in Tallahassee.
Thanks so much, Pete. Let's go ahead and take a look at your local forecast across the region. We see on the almanac that we got up to a high of 88 degrees today. That's the same as the average of 88 degrees, not anywhere close to that record of 100 degrees. As we take a look current conditions-wise in Tallahassee, partly cloudy right now, 64 degrees, your humidity 45%, and those winds out of the south at 7 miles per hour. Now, current temperatures across our region, we see temperatures a little bit cooler near the coast, some of that coastal influence. Temperatures in the mid to upper 80 to 85 right now in Carabel, 86 degrees in St. Mark's. As we shift over to the northeast of Tallahassee, and in Tallahassee 88 degrees, but also Monticello sitting at 88 degrees right now as well. Now, current dew points, we see that there's 64 degrees in Tallahassee at the present time. We see higher numbers as we get further down to the coast and to our west. 72 degrees in Apalachicola. This kind of a sign of some of the impending moisture that's going to be coming up in our forecast that we will be talking about. Now, current winds, we see winds between 5 and 10 miles an hour generally across our area, 7 miles per hour in Tallahassee, and 8 miles an hour in St. Marks. Now, satellite and radar across the Tallahassee area, we see that there's not too much going on, but that will change as we get further into your forecast. In fact, we'll be having a cool front move through our area that'll usher in autumn of sorts. As we take a look, though, we see that satellite and radar right now broadening out the view a little bit. This sign of the moisture as we get over toward areas like Pensacola and Meridian, Mississippi. This moisture starting to become a factor in our forecast over the next couple days. Now, in terms of water vapor imagery, right now we see that not too much going on around the capital area, but as we take a look to our west, we see Tupelo, New Orleans, Little Rock, getting into more moisture. That's in the green. Water vapor showing the moisture in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Now, in terms of your futurecast, we see a low pressure area that will start to impact our weather along with a cool front. This will bring some rain into our area. Unfortunately, it could arrive just in time for the football game against Bethune-Cookman tomorrow, so make sure you bring your ponchos out to the football game on your Saturday evening. It starts around 6 o'clock. Hopefully this cool front will hold off just a little bit longer, and maybe it'll arrive a little bit later, as flooding is possible once this cool front does arrive and some of that moisture does move into our area. Now, tomorrow we'll see temperatures warming up into the 80s, but now in terms of tonight's forecast, we see 68 degrees. It'll be comfortable, cooler. It'll be fall-like weather, so a beautiful evening across our area. Now, tomorrow for the football game, 89 degrees. We'll have some storms rolling in a little bit later, even a potential washout. So again, make sure you bring your ponchos to that football game at 6 o'clock tomorrow at Doak Campbell Stadium. Now, in terms of the 7-day forecast, we see temperatures in the mid to upper 80s over the next 7 days. Rain chances increasing as it's in time for fall. But right now, we'll take it back over to Nikki and Tawana.
Thank you, Casey, for that great local update. We're going to go ahead and hop right on into today in weather history, though.
Yes. 10 years ago, Hurricane Isabella dissipated over the northeast part of the United States.
It actually was one of the costliest, one of the deadliest, one of the strongest hurricanes of 2003, so definitely made its impact on the United States.
Yeah, when it hit North Carolina, it had 105 miles per hour winds.
Which, in all honesty, led to that $5.7 billion worth of damage. Definitely destroyed a lot of homes, a lot of buildings, and a lot of lives.
Sadly, 6 people died, which is absolutely a shame, but with these severe storms like this, it can happen, and we're really sad when it does. But it made landfall as a Category 2, which is not as strong as we could expect, but still, I mean...
It still makes an impact, definitely. And the biggest part is just being prepared. We do have that hurricane season lasting until the end of November, November 30th. So it's really something that we can expect to see possibly in the next couple of months.
It doesn't seem like it's been hurricane season. Not much has been going on.
Very quiet,
we had, what, 2 hurricanes so far?
We have not had very much tropical moisture, but we are going to definitely go ahead and send things out to the wall right now with Braden.
All right, thank you guys. We're going to take a quick tour of Florida, but first we're going to check out your current temperatures, looking at 88 in Tampa, 83 in Orlando, 88 back home in Tallahassee. Looking pretty good right now, dry right now. A cold front is going to move in Saturday into Sunday, giving us more rain, and you check this out on the water vapor. This red tint is what we're calling dry air, really overlaying Florida right now. Not much rain today. Over here, all of this moisture, so much moisture. And where is that coming from? Check out the radar, and you're going to see all of this rain coming up. A lot of rain, dry again over Florida. But Saturday into Sunday, we're going to start seeing that rain into Monday throughout the rest of the week. A lot of rain, a flooding potential. But other than that, a lot of flooding, not much wind, no chance of any severe weather, but always flooding is dangerous. Again, we'll go into Jacksonville. A lot of false returns on the radar again with our radar tour. Not much going on. Dry air, a little bit of the sea breeze down south. We'll go ahead and move into Miami. And an interesting thing right here is you can see this is a nice little smoke plume as the radar go ahead and goes back. You You can see off of a fire, they're doing some controlled burns out in Miami. Very interesting stuff. Just to see smoke on the radar, very, very cool. Going into Central Florida right now, around Orlando and Tampa. Again, not much going on. False returns on the radar. You can see a little bit of that sea breeze, but that dry air has really been controlling our area over the last couple days. Right here, back at home, you can see the sea breeze right over our area. However, it just hasn't had the energy to form, really. It's been very dry outside until that cold front comes in tomorrow. It's going to come in, and it's definitely going to come in with a vengeance. It's going to be a lot of rain over the next couple days. Going to your beach forecast, looking at winds south to 10 knots, a light chop. UV index still very high tomorrow, so make sure you have that sunscreen, sunglasses, hat. It's going to be a nice day to be out on the beach. It's a Saturday, very nice. On the water, wind south, 10 knots. Storms building late, and it might be a risky situation to go out then. However, sunrise, 7:25 a.m., and sunset at 7:35 p.m. Tonight's forecast, looking at 71 in Orlando, 72 in Tampa, back home in Tallahassee, looking at 70. Cooling down to the lower 70s, upper 70s, southern Florida. Jacksonville, the cool spot, 66, getting a little taste of fall. Tomorrow's forecast looking at 89 in Tampa, 90 in Orlando, 87 in Jacksonville, upper 80s in our northern areas, upper 80s, lower 90s, basically around Florida. You can see rain starting in Pensacola, Tallahassee, and Jacksonville. We are going to go ahead and send it off to Troy, who's going to give us not much of a big update on the tropics, but let's see what's going on in the tropics right now, Troy.
Alrighty, thank you. And as right now, of course, we're still in the peak of hurricane season. We're past the climatological peak, September 10th. So things are winding down. And you can see right now, again, we did have 95L earlier in the week, but that's moving to Mexico right now, and it's dissipated from this part. So things are looking pretty clear across the Bacon Peachy. And as we zoom out over to the Atlantic side, you can see this is the roulette of the cold front that moved in through Florida. This is not the cold front that's going to be moving in over the next couple of days associated with the rain. I'll have more of that in just a second. But again, nothing, no tropical cyclone formation expected with this. You just really disorganized at the moment. So that is great news, in fact. And as we zoom out across the Atlantic, just to give you an overview of what's going on, again, nothing off the coast of Africa. So, you know, for past the climatological peak hurricane season, things are looking very well, I'm happy to say. So good news with that. But we're going to shift our focus right now to hurricane climatology. And you can see, you know, we are getting closer to the end of hurricane season, even though we're still in September, but we're past of the peak, as I mentioned earlier. So, again, so our tropical cyclone formation chances are going to be decreasing here now, but we still have anywhere in the Atlantic still for a game for this time of year. So you still want to make sure just for, in case anything will be forming. But in the meantime, we're going to shift our focus closer to home, to the southeast, and temperatures are looking not too shabby. Look at that. Most of the east coast of the United States are sitting temps in the 80s right now, 88 degrees in the capital city, Tallahassee. But look at all this cool air off towards the western part of the map, 71 degrees in Little Rock, and that is associated with the cold front that will be moving into our region, which we'll be talking about later in the segment. And you can already be seeing the cold front is beginning to make its way across the southeast right now. You can see this line of showers and thunderstorms over the Arkansas Valley, Arkansas, and the portions of Louisiana right now. But as time goes on, as we show you throughout your futurecast rainfall, things are going to get pretty nasty over the next few days across, particularly in the Tallahassee region. Now, you can see this cold front that is draped across the southeast right now. This is right now Friday evening. But as we extend our timeline over Friday night and Saturday morning, you see that cold front begins to push on through, and all that moisture will begin to work its way in towards the Bay region. So again, that will affect our game time because tomorrow evening is game day for FSU. So I know, folks, rain during the game, not the best of circumstances, but it's looking more likely that we will have the possibility of rain during the game time. So if you're planning on going to the game, particularly in the stadium, make sure you do have an umbrella because things could get pretty ugly out there. But as we stand out towards Sunday, again, that's really where our best rainfall chances will be occurring. So if you have any outdoor plans, really just make adjustments. Maybe go to Subway if you want to go out to dinner, or if you want to go to the movies on a rainfall day, that's not a bad idea either. But looking ahead at tonight's forecast, and not bad temperatures across the region. Look at that, 70 and Tallahassee, a little bit cooler off towards Little Rock, 67 degrees in Little Rock. That's associated with that cold front. And looking ahead at tomorrow's forecast as I step onto the screen, again, a little bit cooler as we will have the threat for rain moving on in the forecast. But in the meantime, let's send it back up to the desk of Nikki and Tawana.
Thank you, Troy. So speaking of that weather, that severe weather we might have coming in, NOAA is having this way of like updating their way of
getting that signal out.
Yeah, exactly.
They've become quite adaptable, actually. What they decided to do was improve that weather warning. So for most of us, a weather radio going off, we hear the siren, the alarm, whatever you want to call it. For those people who, for example, don't have hearing loss, they've found other ways to get the message out.
Like those 36 million Americans who have hearing loss, who can't hear when that weather radio goes off. They've been trying to help them out. They've been equipping weather radios with strobe lights and bed flashers and bed shakers, and all that kind of cool stuff to help them out with their troubles, with their hearing troubles. But we're going to sending out to the wall with Alex giving us that last local.
And our last local, what is it showing? Nice comfortable conditions at 88 degrees with partly cloudy skies and a lower dew point 2 at 64 degrees. Not feeling so uncomfortable out there today. Temperatures stretched up across upper 80s, a few lower 90s around Bainbridge and Quincy. We're sitting 90 and 91 degrees, so nice and warm conditions, and it's going to get cooler as that rain progresses. I'm going to show you that in just a bit. Dew points. Lights, when you see upper 60s to lower 60s, that tends to be nice and comfortable. Once you start moving into the 70s, though, it starts to feel muggy. You start feeling that moisture, and it's also a bad hair day, too, for those of you who know what I mean. The further we go out west, the more moist it is. The further we go out east, the less moist it is. So it is nice and dry off toward the east. Not a lot of rainfall. This is probably impacting their dew points a bit. All these little rain showers we see approaching the western panhandle and onto our satellite and radar, you can clearly see this big mass of white clouds that's associated with this front we've been monitoring for the past couple of days now, going to bring a lot of rain, possibly impacting us during the Bethune-Cookman game tomorrow. Might be a washout, so hopefully you guys make sure you bring your ponchos out there because it is going to be a nasty one. What's our Futurecast show? It shows this cold front slowly trekking its way towards our area. By Saturday at 6 p.m. near kickoff, it should be near the western panhandle of Florida, but it is going to be nice and pleasant. Let's take it back out to the desk with our final overview.
Thank you so much, Alex. Now, Tawana, do you remember that topic last week? We were talking about Colorado floods all across the schools and stuff.
Yeah, that was absolutely horrible. And now it's moving eastward to Nebraska.
Exactly.
We have that it'll impact Nebraska soon. So the majority of the floodwaters are going to move down the South Platte River into Nebraska and raise that like 3 to 4 feet.
That's right, 3 to 4 feet. So that is a big difference. So if you are, let's just say, living around the South Platte River, make sure you do not go in. The intensity of that current will be very strong. And if you're interested on what the 7-day looks like, there you go. So intense water conditions also for us too, guys. We have a lot of rain headed our way, especially across this weekend into the big game day too.
Exactly, 40% chance of rain, so bring your ponchos, guys. And 50% on Sunday as well.
But you can go ahead and like us on Facebook.FSU Weather, or even Twitter, FSU Weather as well.
Or even watch us on live stream at livestream.com/FSU Weather. But thank you for watching, guys, and have a good night.
I'm senior meteorologist Nikki Purdy.
And I'm Tawana Andrew.